Eyes closed and dreams go free. Got an angel next to me. Hold me close so I can breathe. Let me go so I can live. Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time.
Captain Rion, we got him on the run. Captain Rion, smoke him.
Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time, and love will take its place. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars. I turn up the stars for you. Forget your past.
Namaste and like catch my family, and welcome to another Team Light interviews. Today we are interviewing the most talented and gifted Sheila Knies. Sheila, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous, especially being here. This is terrific.
Awesome. There's a lot of information that I think is really pertinent to what has gone on, on Earth, especially in the different political scenes and political schemes, I should say. And so there's a lot of information out there that people don't know about. And I think that is your specialty. And I think that's one of the main topics you're going to be talking about in Bastrop.
Correct. I'm going to be giving people a little bit of background about Val Thor, who's from Venus, in charge of the largest galactic federation. And I will also give information that you don't find in books, because I was very fortunate to be part of an inner circle whereby the person in charge of this inner circle, Dr. Frank Stranges, actually befriended Val Thor and was allowed to share insider information with a small group.
Well, that's awesome. I heard that Val Thor at one point had his ship parked over Lake Mead?
Well, let's put it this way. He actually, for a long time, would park his ship by Lake Mead. He had a cloaking device around it. And basically, he still visits over there.
Listen, I love the name Val Kilmer, Valiant. No, but I think Val Thor for me. I know there was a lot of things with the Venusian, specifically with him and how he came to be. Did you want to tell our audience a little bit more about the technology that the Venusians use, especially when creating a life? Because I heard that he's almost like immortal, right?
Well, he is considered a created being. In other words, he wasn't born as you and I were. He supposedly was actually created by God himself. He doesn't even have a belly button.
News at 10. Val Thor doesn't have a belly button. Live from Earth. That's cool, though. I mean, what does it really do? What are we doing here? I mean, do we really need this thing? No, So there was no one to cut the umbilical cord, Val. It's okay. It's okay. That being said, okay. So with some of the things this is why this is really important, ladies and gentlemen. During that time that Val Thor was making contact with the U.S. government, right, stranger with the Pentagon, that was the same time, I believe, was it Truman, right, was going to made the deal with the Greys? We kind of, is that what?
No, it's Dwight.
Yeah, tell the story.
Actually, it was Dwight Eisenhower. And Nixon was vice president at the time, so it was in that era.
Tell us a little bit more about what the main issue was and why it was so important what Val Thor was trying to do.
Well, what it is basically we unfortunately were playing around with a lot of nuclear weapons at the time. And nuclear weapons are so dangerous. We used to have another planet in our solar system whereby it is said that it blew up because of people dealing with nuclear weapons. And basically, when Dwight Eisenhower started to get a large arsenal of weapons together in 1957, good old Val Thor decided that it was too dangerous to just leave us be as we were, so he thought it was time to pay us a visit. So on March 16th, your birthday, 1957, Commander Val Thor actually landed not his main spacecraft, but another spacecraft. He actually landed it in good old Alexandria, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. And he was greeted by the Virginia Police Department with a couple of guys with guns drawn, ready to shoot at him.
Good old.
And I mean,
That's what we call a Southern introduction.
Now, he actually knew that he would not be getting a warm welcome, so he wore a bulletproof outfit, which I think is very sad that people from other planets who know about us on this planet feel they're so welcomed that they have to wear a bulletproof outfit.
Look, I have a bulletproof hoodies. I mean, welcome to Earth. If you don't have bulletproof something, you gotta check yourself. No. I think the main thing that Val stood for was obviously peace, freedom, and sovereignty, but there's a lot of technologies that I remember it was Eisenhower, right? We're homies of Laura, so I always try to mix those presidents up. Was it Truman or was it Eisenhower? The main thing about it was really the deal. So I think a lot of his starseeds and angelics incarnated on this planet based upon us, and I believe that even some Palladians and one of the main groups out of the Pleiades actually got involved with Earth because we made a deal with the Greys and the Zetas that said, hey, it's okay if you guys want to play with nuclear weapons. So I want people to really kind of understand why it was so important about what Val was trying to do and what he did do and how he wasn't listened to.
Well, first of all, in 1954, there was the Greada Treaty, whereby our government actually agreed to allow aliens, specifically the Greys, to abduct a certain amount of people in exchange for scientific information. Now, Val Thor came along and actually wanted to give scientific information to our government, but actually the information he wanted to give was information whereby we would be healed, and we would get free energy, and obviously people in big pharma would not be happy about that, and people in the energy fields obviously would not be happy. So what his real goal, his main goal, was to have peace on Earth and not have our government kill us by using nuclear weapons all over the world.
I mean, does Val Thor have an email list of like, hey, I've been down here a hot second, bro. Like, I mean, you got any room on that ship? I heard it's really large, No, for a lot of us that are down here, and some of these things that have taken place, what I can say is with the different timelines and how they've changed so drastically, and how we're actually going through this precipice. Apparently, during the next solar event, all the timelines kind of come braided together. Then after the event, they kind of, separate again. It's a junction point. And I find that I'm very interested if he's going to show back up.
Yes, he will. And he's actually in charge of the alliance that's going on right now. A lot of people don't know that we've been in a war for the last 8 years. And most people think, oh, it just started a year or so ago between Ukraine and Russia. But no, wars have been going on, but they've been going on underground in our underground bases, underground tunnels, et cetera, et cetera. So what I will say is he has actually been in charge of the alliance, the good guys who are fighting on our behalf. From what I understand, he has visited Laura Eisenhower, by the way. He's still alive and well. People live for hundreds of years from other planets. And from what I understand, he's still around. He's going to be around long term. He actually said that if a nuclear weapon goes off on our planet, that actually they have technology that is so incredible that even after it was actually started, or should I say it was exploded or about to explode, they can actually in air actually turn it off midstream. So that seems really exciting, and I feel a lot more comfortable sleeping at night knowing things like that.
I think there's lots of footage with a lot of the UFOs, or what do they call them, UAPs now? They keep changing.
Yes.
But a lot of the activity was around military bases, especially in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It was basically like whenever you were storing nuclear weapons, you had UFOs in the air. And I think there's tons of documentation and disclosure things that came out, especially with the Disclosure Project, saying that one of the main events was in England, in the forests, and how they had the triangle.
Rendlesham, yeah, right. Rendlesham Forest.
Rendlesham Forest. So I find it very interesting. I do believe that during this great time that a lot of these beings I would like to obviously talk to. I feel like a lot of us, like, I don't know if we showed up too late or too soon. Sometimes I feel like I showed up like way too early. Like I should have waited on the incarnation wheel. But after seeing what's kind of been done in their rollout plan and what they were trying to do, I had to be here, be aware, and be sovereign in my own choices. Because we can see with some of the different weirdness that's going on the planet, how it's so important right now for us true bloods out there to kind of stick together. That being said, what are some of the things you'd like to share about your presentation that you're going to be sharing in Bastrop? Just a brief overview, because I know we're talking about Val Thor, but what are some other pertinent information you find that you'd like to share in Bastrop?
Well, what I want to let people know is that Val Thor actually wrote a couple of books. He is someone who, what's the best way of putting it? I guess he is the type of person who actually is very humble. From the people who I knew who had met with him, he is the kindest person, very open hearted. He is really an ambassador for love and peace on this planet. He has many, many talents, which I'll go over in Bastrop. He actually is a person who, from what I understand, will be here at the end of this war when the war is over. And from what I understand, we're supposed to be winning this war.
Yes, yes. With the white hats, yes.
Well, you know what? Good old Nikola Tesla was not only a brilliant, scientist who actually created the Tesla coil, but he actually also knew how to change our weather, and he also knew how to do time travel. And our government got his information, and basically we had a couple of programs. One was called Project Pegasus, the other one Project Looking Glass. We had people who went into the future and into the past. The people who went into the future said, we are going to win this war. I just wish they had told me the date. That's the only thing that we're missing over here.
Yeah, we talked to our guides. I'm like, hey, when's the RV? Hey, Nassar, Jassar. Hey, they're like, it's almost like you're trying to like ask Santa Claus, like, we don't want to ruin the surprise. I'm like, well, you can ruin it a little bit. We need some hope down here. You can ruin it a little bit, guys.
And that's what I like to give people, with what I'll be going over at Bastrop. And you had mentioned before that our space brothers actually were shutting down nuclear weapons.
Yes.
And YouTube is really not known for sharing a lot of information. But what I found out, and it was still online about a month ago, it still had information about a person named Robert Salas, who actually was in charge of Maelstrom, Montana Nuclear Air Force Base. And I believe it was March 24th of 1967, where he actually was told that there were a bunch of UFOs flying over his good old nuclear weapon base. And it didn't upset him until he tried checking his nuclear weapons out, and all of them were dead. It's supposed to be impossible for even one of them to be shut off, and all 10 of him, did not work. So what I will say is that through the years, again, with the help of good old Val Thor, we have had all of our nuclear weapons shut off until supposedly 1993. Now, according to David Wilcock, in 1993, after our space brothers were so thrilled that all of these weapons were shut down, our government was not thrilled because they had actually probably purchased billions upon billions of dollars of nuclear weapons. So I will tell you that our space brothers, instead of shutting the nuclear weapons down as they did previously, they decided to actually babysit them. So what I want to tell people is, if you go to any nuclear base at this time, even if you're not using night vision goggles that I hand out at my UFO tours, you will see a bunch of UFOs overhead. And if they feel that there's going to be a country using that nuclear weapon, they will shut them down.
Well, thank goodness we have support because we don't need nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are no one's friends, okay, ladies and gents. You know, not to mention the fallout that happens after, and then the land's basically useless for a long time. That being said, you know, it's such an absolute pleasure having you on the show. We could do this for 2 hours because there's things I want to say. There's things she wants to go. We're giving you a little taster. Okay, so Team Light solar activation and why this is so important. This is the last solar event or a solar eclipse till 2044 over North America. So Sheila, that being said, tell me a little bit more about your background and how you got into these subject matters and where your journey began.
Well, I will tell you, around 1980, I used to run psychic fairs in the New York area. And I was very fortunate. A couple of my psychics became famous. If you've heard of John Edward, Suzanne Northrop. Also, there are other people who I worked with. And basically, not only did I have great psychics who gave readings all day, but I also had vendors who sold metaphysical books, crystals, etc., and lectures. A couple of weeks after I started doing my psychic fairs, I got a phone call from a person named Timothy Green Beckley. And he said, Sheila, I sell UFO magazines, and I would really love it if you would allow me to sell them at your functions. Well, in 1980, I did not believe in UFOs at all. In fact, I used to believe every single thing the government said. Boy, have things changed, right? But in 1980, our government said it's impossible that anybody else is out there. But I said to Tim, you know what? Bottom line, if you want to come this weekend, if you do well selling your magazines, you know what? Bottom line, that's fine. You can continue with me. He did fabulously. So he continued to come with me. We got friendly. He gave me a book on UFOs. And I will tell you, once I, figured out that there's potential of people living on a planet. Well, I say on a planet. We always think that people live on planets, but when I found out people many times live inside of their planets,
Right.
I really opened up to the fact that, you know what, maybe there are people out there. And fortunately, through the years, after studying a lot about UFOs, going to every convention that I can get to, I became the Florida director of the National Investigations Committee on UFOs.
Wow. Well, that's impressive. How about the fact that you were the first person to ever do a psychic fair on the East Coast?
I most likely was. I used to also have my own television show for 4 years. It was called Psychic Seminar. And I used to interview people about pyramids and, things that now people are open to. But in those days, again, it was definitely not as popular as now.
Sheila, it's been an absolute privilege to have you on Team Light Interviews. How can people find you? How can people reach out to you? I know you have a very successful business in Sedona and you do night vision tours. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, well, the name of my company is called Best Tours of Sedona. And I do vortex tours, meditation tours, and UFO tours. And when someone comes on my UFO tour, I give them night vision goggles that will allow them to see 100 times more than the naked eye. And we see a ton of ships every night. In fact, I guarantee sightings. And what I also do is when people come on my tour, I tell people the real history of our planet, what's been going on behind the scenes, and what's coming up in the future. These are all the things that our government will never tell you. But obviously, I feel that since I've been in this field for 44 years now, that I have a lot to share.
Bastrop, though, you're also going to do night vision tours. You want to talk about that? How do people sign up? How do people find you? How can they contact you if they already have a ticket to the event? How can they get in contact with you to book those times? I know space is limited.
Well, actually, they'll go to your website, basically teamlightstore/events.
I think it's
teamlightstore.com/events. Okay.
Events, yes.
And then it seems like if you scroll down below where all the information is about the lecturers, that's where you can still sign up. And I will be doing a tour on April 6th and April 7th. If the weather, let's see, is not good either one of those nights, and I can do it on the 8th. Or if both nights are good and if more people want to sign up, I can open up the 8th.
Well, Sheila, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Team Light interviews. Can't wait to see you in Fast Drop. Till next time.
Eyes closed and dreams go free. Got an angel next to me. Hold me close so I can breathe. Let me go so I can live. Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time.
Shh, Captain Marione, we got him on the run. Captain Marione, smoke him.
Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time, and love will take its place. It will be tonight when I turn on the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn on the stars for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars. I turn up the stars for you. Forget your past.